の世界の前になぜ私はとても申し訳ありませんか。ちょうど花を見るよ。にじま桜の彼女のことを考えて私は眠ってしまった。手に入れることができました。それが夢だったとして、起きなかったでしょう。Japan has one of the highest suicide rates of any developed country, although the number has fallen sharply in recent years. Japan has been always very permissive with this act and does not consider it a sin, like many other cultures. In Japanese society, committing a suicide is seen as a way of assuming responsibility. Without going too far and located northwest of the base of the Mount Fuji between Yamanashi and Shiwaka prefectures in Japan, Aokigahara, also known as the Sea of Trees or Suicide Forest, is a 35-kilometer forest. It was formed from the lava flows of the condensed eruption of Mount Fuji that occurred between the years 800 and 1083. The Wuhan eruption, which occurred in 864, being the one that most contributed to his formation, lasting 10 days and covering part of the Edo Bay and Cape Providence. The amount of lava emerged affected an ancient lake in the vicinity called Tsunomi, dividing it into three lakes, Sai, Shohi, and Motosu. Aokigahara is sadly famous for being the preferred enclave for many Japanese who decide to end their lives. If you like dark tourism, pay attention and listen carefully. Wait, your life is a beautiful gift. Please think about your parents, siblings, and children. Don't keep it to yourself. Talk about your problems. What do we find in Aokigahara? A popular myth about Aokigahara is that there are magnetic iron deposits there. The first recommendation is not to leave the path, since in this area it's easier to navigate. Compasses, GPS, or mobile phone do not work. Often leave color ribbons tied to trees, so they can safely return. It's easy to get lost and it's not an excursion that we recommend doing on your own. In many cases, small memory altars and flowers can be found where bodies were found. The extension is covered mainly by evergreen trees, such as fir trees, Japanese cypress, oak, Fuji cherry, or maple. Interestingly, the composition of the soil means that in this area, the roots of the trees grow in an horizontal direction. Visiting Aokigahara, it's like going to another planet. The One Cave, Fugaku, and the Ice Cave, Narusawa, are two famous caves formed by volcanic lava. They are located within the Aokigahara forest, at the foot of the Mount Fuji.
Tlatelolco, one of the most emblematic cities in Mexico City, in the Cuauhtémoc delegation, remembered by many people for the propaganda 2 de octubre no se olvida. All of this began on October 2nd, 1968. Snipers of the Olympia Battalion opened fire on thousands of people, demonstrating in the Plaza of the Three Cultures in Tlatelolco to protest the strong repression that the new student movement suffered under the rule of Gustavo Díaz Ordaz, where more than 300 protesters were killed. For many neighbors, it is not a surprise that the Chihuahua buildings is one of the most iconic of the housing units. It's the framework of different human stories related to paranormal events. In ancient times, sacrifices were made. There was also a massacre of indigenous people, and in the 1968 massacre, unfortunately, the biggest catastrophe occurred in 1985 for the earthquake on September 19, where 30,000 people died. Among the most mysterious places and recognized as sites of paranormal events, we can find the Chihuahua building, because its corridors became testimonies and silent listeners of the horrors that took place between its entrails during the students' massacre. Today, it is said that in these corridors at night you can hear the cries of all these women and children who were killed along with the students. Many disoriented people have seen ghosts in the Plaza of the Three Cultures without knowing anything about what has happened. A popular legend ensures that during the morning, once the place of the Three Cultures is in total calm, it is possible to hear the riding steps of someone who seems to be dancing, whose icons resonate in the Chihuahua buildings. Some neighbors call him the dancer because they say it is about the ghost of a young white dressed danger energetically overnight. Another version of this history ensures having seen a child who laughs and has fun in this plane, while walking from the one side to another and finally disappears. Far from bringing surprise, the older residents of the housing units encounter stories of ghosts and everyday appearances, while younger tenants take these accounts with skepticism. Even some Day of the Dead offerings include these characters as a way to honor their memory and at the same time recognize them part of the Tlatelolco cultural legacy. The Gonzalo Castañeda Hospital. One of the most terrifying sites in the area, in this abandoned site there were many testimonies of patients who report hearing screams at night, as well as accelerated steps that gave the impression of fleeing from something or someone. The presence of the running, of course, was also one of the most heard events among patients, because one of the many versions that exist around it is that he was a nurse who actually perished during the earthquake of the 1985.